All right, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome back. Let's go ahead and knock out our unit circle. This part, we're going to get to know it, and then we're going to assess some values down here at sine or cosine. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the unit circle. So this is the first time you've officially seen it completely put together, but I'm going to point out some things to you. So the first thing I'm going to point out to you is this is always 0. However, if I take same colors that I used before, so if I have a 30-degree triangle, there's my side. And just like from our other one, our 30-degree triangle was pi 6. Well, look at that. It's pi 6 right there. So then if I have my 45, 90 triangle, so my 45-degree angle here, well, look at that. That's pi 4ths, same as the other paper that we did. So now we're going to look at our 60-degree triangle. And oh, look, it's pi 3rds. That's exactly what we have for the other one. So there's my 60-degree triangle. Okay, so the things we're going to make sure that we pay attention to. These values dictate across the unit circle. Each quadrant has a 6th. Each quadrant has a 4th. And each quadrant has a 3rd. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend our lines to match those so that we can easily identify them. Okay. So then I'm going to also do my other third. So hold on, let's do those all together. So I won't use my loud ruler today, but I'll use this one. All right, so there's all my thirds. Thirds. This also falls out of thirds. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my fourths. Okay, there are my fourths. And then I'm going to do fourths will also go with our halves. Because those are just 2/4. Because across there, because 4/4 is still relevant. Okay, so now we're going to do our 6. And I know I'm using really light colors, but that's just because I need you guys to be able to see it. I can always show you a picture of it. It just gets a little full once you start using darker colors. So if you want to use highlighters, you're more than welcome to, but this is just my easy way to go over it. I'm just using lighter colors this year because last year mine was really involved, and I'll show you what it looks like darker too. So there we go, my 6. And then we're also going to add our 6 lines to our thirds, right? Because our 2 6 is still thirds. And it's just cutting the unit circle in 6 pieces, each half in 6 pieces. So it's going to go on all of our pink ones too. All right, and then that should wrap it up with all of our values. So we end up with 2 blue lines in each quadrant and a pink and a green across the middle. So let me show you what this looks like in darker colors so that you can pause your video, and if you want to make sure that your lines look like my lines, we're going to ignore the values on the outside of it because this is a completed one. But here you go. pinks were the thirds, greens were the fourths, and blues were the sixths. So this is what a completed, colored in, darker colored unit circle looks like. You want to make sure that you commit this to memory. So if you want to pause it and fill yours in, that's great. But this is very helpful to have. Okay, so moving on. Now we're going to go into the exact values down here at the bottom. So we want to make sure that our calculator is in the correct unit of measure. And we also want to make sure that we are getting the exact answer, which means there should be some kind of square root in some of these. So if we're looking at sine of 120 degrees, so right here, this is sine of 1, so this is 120. So which is sine? Well, cosine is x and sine is y. So let's write those in. So there's your x, there's your y. So it wants cosine, sine, sorry, of 120 degrees. So square root of 3/2. If I'm looking for cosine of 180, well, 180, cosine is the x value, -1. Sine of 240, 240 is right there. Cosine, sine, negative square root of 3/2. The sine of 5 pi thirds. So now I'm looking for the radian measurement. So 5 pi thirds, there we go. So I want the sine of that. So cosine, sine, negative square root of 3/2. If I'm looking for cosine of pi thirds, we know pi thirds is up here at the top. And I want cosine, which is the first one, so 1/2. This is just getting you familiar with the circle. So I want sine of pi halves. We know pi halves is always going to be at 90 right here. So it wants the sine, which is going to be 1. Okay, so then I'm going to give you an opportunity to pause the video here so that you can go ahead and fill the bottom ones in. And that's just using your unit circle at the top, identifying the value that they're asking you for, and then filling it in. So if you had the chance to pause your video, then you're able to fill these in. So sine of 390. So this is 360, 390. That's the coterminal angle of this one. So that's going to be cosine, so square root of 3/2. Then I'm looking for sine of negative 135. So negative, that's 180. So if I take 50 away from that, gives me 130. 30, 45, 60, 90. So 90, so that makes this 60. So 90 plus your 60 gives you 150. So that's too much. So it's going to be somewhere in here. Okay, cool. So since it wants the negative sign, so I'm in degrees. So I'm going to go mode to make sure I'm in the correct measure. Clear. Now I'm going to go sine of negative 135. I need that in square roots though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so for these ones, we're going to find the coterminal angles first. This one was 30 degrees, so it's going to be square root of 3/2. The coterminal angle for negative 135 is going to be 225. So if we look at 225 and we want it in degrees, So 225 in degrees, and then we want the sine of that, which is going to be negative square root of 2 over 2. And then this coterminal angle is going to be 150. And then I want the cosine of that, so the x value, negative square root of 3 over 2. X value, y value, x value. Okay, so bottom row, we're going to do the same thing. So I want the coterminal angle for this one, which is going to be 2 pi thirds. If I find 2 pi thirds on my unit circle, I'm going to have the y value is what I want, which means I want square root of 3 over 2. And then I want the coterminal angle for negative 4 pi, which is going to be 0. So that's just going around the circle twice. And I want the x value for that, which is going to be 1. And then I want the coterminal angle for negative pi thirds, which is going to be 5 pi thirds. And you can't tell that's a 3 anymore, so let me fix it so you can read it. 5 pi thirds, and I want the y value because I'm looking for sine, which means negative square root of 3 over 2. By this point, you should have been able to check all of your answers, and you are good to go. See you next video.